Yeah.
I'm sick
So you saying you're not doing relationships at all?
I don't know what I'm doing, Fred, because I'm not with none of it. Take it all away.
But what you are with, though, Fred, you did say that you love you some white men.
I love me a white man.
And I gotta know, like,
I love a white man, country white man.
I ain't never had a white man.
Well,
so
you
what
need to
is
try
it
it out. You need to try it out.
What's your experience?
Let me tell you
What's your
this.
experience?
And people are going to be so angry with me in this sentiment. And I don't give a I will be your problem. I'll be your problem. The thing is, love who loves you. It doesn't matter their race, color, or whatever. I see so many black women that come up to me heartbroken, and they won't date anybody. They have to date a black man. They have to. I get it. But what about just dating a man or dating a woman that loves you?
Yeah.
Like, what is it a focus on color or gender? So for me, when I do, like, when I'm in certain places and certain things, the only men that try to talk to me is white men.
Oh.
Recently, K. Michelle came on to the Revolt Black Girl Stuff show. And in this particular show, as you saw in the first clip, she was telling black women, hey, explore your options. Think about dating white men. And of course, a lot of pushback came towards her, not from black men, but from black women themselves. And of course, that is because this whole idea of race loyalty tends to be very big in the black community. And that's what has somebody like Cynthia G really pissed off.
And we also heard Iyanla Vanzant and Ebony K. Williams, who have now come out basically saying chase bandits for marriage when they're in college and highly promiscuous. We see a lot of people giving black women advice catered around their desperation and willingness to be in a non-reciprocal relationship with black men. And this couldn't be a bigger mistake that we are making as black women. The reality is, when you market yourself as a desperate group of women, you get treated accordingly. And unfortunately for black women, nobody really respects desperate women, not even the males that you are desperate for. So while bandits are out proclaiming to the world how much they're in search of a non-black woman, black women are declaring their undying one-sided loyalty to a group of males who have nothing to offer them except dick, dust, heartache, and single motherhood.
And there were even certain comments there that was talking about her directly. One of these people said, I'm not letting a bitter Betty tell me anything about a relationship. K. Michelle is the problem. K. Michelle is bisexual and still single. She can't keep anybody. Change your mindset and good things will come, ladies. Now, let me just talk about that because she's giving her opinion. I don't think it was so malicious towards black men. So for the sake of argument, I will leave K. Michelle out of this as a person. I'm only dealing with her position, not with her personally. So the question is, do black women or can black women open up their options to other races? Now, I did come across this YouTube video, which I thought was pretty fair in its assessment, and it's from a person by the name of Keita Rose, and I want to hear her argument for today.
Hello. I seen a video that said that black men find black women the least desirable because of our aggressiveness and our outrageous behaviors. I don't want to be rude, but if you aren't intelligent or mature enough to understand that every race contains people that could be deemed ghetto, aggressive, loud, poor, outrageous, etc., then you aren't smart enough to talk to me. See, people who push this dumbass narrative have one goal in mind, and that is to divide us as a people. If you have a negative opinion of all black women based on the one that wouldn't fuck with you in middle school, your mother, or the narrative that the media pushes, then intellectually, you aren't capable enough to have these types of conversations. And that's okay. Because going by that logic, one could argue that all black men have 14 felonies, don't take care of their kids, and are currently incarcerated. But that just isn't true. It's almost like every race has different types of people within that race. So if you want to date outside your race, fucking do it. Personally, I don't give a shit. I enjoy all men, especially black men, but most importantly, black men that love, care for us, and respect us right back. You are appreciated. Happy Monday.
So I can somewhat agree to that, and it sounds, like I said, doable as to what she's saying. But I want to talk about this as a whole. Do black women have the ability to date out? Now, let's talk about this. My first question would be, if black women were to date outside of their race, what kind of man are they talking about? It's one thing to say, I want to date other races of men, but what races of men and what qualities should those men have? So that's the first thing. What kind of man would a black woman want? Is she gonna date a white man that is having gold teeth, he's a Crip, or a white guy who is not successful? Certain ladies are going through incidents because the white man is broke, like this one.
This weekend was bullshit. I could have had more fun sitting at home talking to my damn self, honestly, to be quite honest, than hanging out with his big burly ass. Okay, because here's what happened, y'all. Saturday, when you know how he promised that he was gonna cook for me. Saturday comes, I go over his house. One thing I find out is that he has a roommate that is a little zesty, if you know what I mean. His roommate is bisexual, but his roommate looked very much full on, he loves pussy, okay? His roommate was like rainbow haired out, which freaked me out. And like his bedroom was tiny, like his, bedroom, the room that, and then his living room area, his couches were old and hard. They look like couches that he probably bought 20 years ago, whenever the fuck the house was built. Anyway, it was a mess. And I was like, well, hopefully the food is good at least. But girl, his salmon expired. The salmon that he was going to cook for me, supposedly, expired.
So that would be the thing. If you're gonna say no to black men and go to white men, what would be the point of going to the white community and dealing with the same kind of men you're trying to get away from in the black community? That would be the first question. But secondarily, are the men in the white community that you want, do they want you? Now, let me just say this, okay? I wanted to go to Harvard University. Unfortunately, I didn't have the grades. I wanted to go to Harvard University, but the university I wanted to go to, it wasn't for me. Why? I just didn't qualify. That sent your boy to community college, where I still from there didn't get into Harvard University. I had to sort of get in where I fit in. And that's something that a lot of people got to understand. When you're trying to date interracially, usually you need to be better than the people of their group. For an example, and like I said, SPK knows this. He was living here in Uganda with me. If I were to date somebody from this country, I need to be on average a better opportunity than somebody from their community. I need to come with some level of more education. I need to come with some level of more skill, some level of a lot of things for her to consider me over somebody else. And that's typically how it works, usually in interracial dating. If a white man loves his own women, or if he's open to dating his own women, but dating black women, you need to somehow beat out that particular person, especially if that is a white man who is doing very well. So you're not going to be able to come with the same problems you have in black America and take them over to, I don't know, the Chinese community, take them over to the white community, things like that. Just like as black men, if we were to date a white woman, or even interculturally dating, like I use Uganda, for example, or Nigeria, or Jamaica, or Ethiopia, I'm expected to do more than the men of their community, to do more, not just by some, a lot. Even in the community, if I were to marry a woman that's an Ethiopian American, I need to do more. Why? It's the price I have to pay for being an outsider. It's just how it works. So for the family to accept me, I need to be exceptional, because I'm a threat to their bloodline. I'm a threat to their culture. I'm a threat to the way that they do things, and in some aspects, how they may see the world. So I need to be better than that. But the third question will be this: would black women be willing to change whatever habits that they may have that the other party feels is negative in order for their relationship to matriculate? Now, what does that mean? If you're gonna be dating a high value man of another community, and some of the other things that you feel like you don't do wrong, but clearly you would do wrong, can somebody tell you, hey, here is where you're making an error? Or you don't feel like you're making an error because nobody can tell you anything, because you feel like you're perfect just as you are. You're God's gift to the world, and when you wake up in the morning, shoot, everything is right about you. And unfortunately, we do have people in our community, in our society, where their thinking is linear. It's completely okay for you to point the arrow at black men, but when it comes to yourself, you don't see the that there is an issue in your behavior or how you may act or how you may see the world. So if you have that perspective, I doubt you're going to go to another community and all of a sudden, just change. I'm going to go somewhere where maybe, my attitude or certain issues about me may not be tolerated, and then I'm going to change. Well, what is the incentive for that person to keep you around if you won't change? In the Black community, a man could possibly deal with that because, we're the same group. But when you're dealing with somebody who's not in the same group and you have those problems, well, then what is the use of them keeping you around over their own people? And fourthly, have you ever seen a relationship that a woman operates from a submissive perspective? Again, I'm going to get some criticism, but let me just tell you, a lot of people in other communities do like a traditional male-female dynamic. I'm not saying all, but they're more likely to accept that. If you're a lady and you have never seen that, you've never seen how a woman interacts in a relationship, or if you're a man and you've never seen how a man interacts in a relationship, it's very difficult to take that sort of upbringing to somebody else's community. For example, my father had a lot of issues, but he was a very great provider. My grandfather, who was born in 1918, I talk about him quite often on my channel. He was an awesome man. It gave me the opportunity to see where I needed to be as a young man and growing up in the culture. Right? I needed to be a man that took care of my family. I needed to be a man that took care of the women in my community, things like that. It was something that was just a non-negotiable skill. But I hear a lot of women complaining about men that don't want to get up and provide, that don't want to take care of their women. And for me, I feel like I understand what they're talking about, but that's foreign to me because I wasn't raised like that. But unfortunately, if you have issues like that and you're not raised like that, and you take those problems to somebody else's community, you can easily be kicked out or left behind. So those are the reasons why I would feel Black women would have a little bit more trouble interracially staying in a relationship versus other people. I'm not talking about what they look like. I don't think that's the issue. I don't think that Black women are, so unattractive or nothing. I think Black women are very attractive. And I honestly would think that white men would like Black women just like they could like anybody else. What would cause those relationships to stop going forward, or what are those mitigating factors in that? I believe it would be how the woman has grown up in the Black community, how she sees herself, and her willingness to be malleable. Those are the things that would stop those things from happening. And that's what I believe stops those things from happening right now. I personally believe that when white men or other races look at relationships with Black women, one of the reasons why they may not want to go through with it is because they feel like Black women are the least likely to want to change for the relationship, which is why there is certain data that says Black women are the least desirable amongst other women. That's probably why, if you see that data. And we've seen it on dating apps and things like that. It's not because of what they look like, I don't think. It's not because of a lack of beauty. I think it's a lack of understanding the culture that the man might be in. But guys, what do you think? Is K Michelle right? Subscribe, hit the bell. We're out.